In Project 5, you'll be processing an input file, reading the data from the file, and keeping a running total. So the first thing I want to recommend is that you watch all the videos in the Assignment 5 folder before you start working on the project. The videos in the folder will demo how to read from a file and how to keep an accumulator or a running total. The material is also covered in section 5.7 of your book. So the idea behind this project is that you're going to be reading from the file a month name followed by a space followed by a savings amount. So you're going to want to read all this data in, and then as you're processing the data, I would like you to keep a sum of the savings amount, and then I would like you to output month name and the summed value. So on this slide here, I give you a sample data for your input file. I would like the input file to be named savings.txt. Now the file is going to contain, as I said, a month followed by a space followed by a dollar amount. So keep in mind that what you're seeing here is sample data. The file can be any length, meaning I could have one entry in a file and I could have 20 entries in a file. This is just a sample of the data that would be in the file. So the first thing you should do is open up Notepad or Notepad++ to enter in your data, to enter in the month name followed by the space and then a dollar amount, and keep several entries. Keep in mind that when you get to your very last entry, you don't want to press enter at the end. You want to end and keep your cursor right here at the end, for this example, at the end here after the 7. Okay, so how to get started. Remember that you must open the file first, and again, this is all explained in those videos as well as in section 5.7 of your book. Open the file. Then I would like you to perform a test. Check to see if the input file was found, and if not, display an error message and close your program. And again, this is demonstrated in the videos. You may be processing files of different lengths, as I mentioned before. You're not going to know how much I'll have in my own file, so be sure that you use a loop that tests for at the end of file marker. Read a month and an amount from the input file. Keep an accumulator to total the savings amount at the end of each month. Then I'd like you to display the month and the accumulated savings amount. While you're doing this, then also increment a counter that will keep track of the number of months read, so that when your loop ends, calculate the average savings amount per month and display the average as shown on the sample output here. So here's my first sample output, and this is based on the input that you saw a couple of slides ago. So let me go back for a second here, right? So you see I have January, February, March, April, and May. January's got $45, February $75.67, etc. So at the end of February, you should see 45 plus $75.67. So now if you go to my sample output, you see the 45 for January, but then at the end of February, you have 45 plus that 75.67 added in, right? And then at the end of March, you see this 120 added to the new savings amount that you just read in, etc., etc. At the end, once the entire file has been processed, show me the total savings amount. That's all of this added together, right? So you end up with the 317.33, just like you did in the last month here. And then show me the average savings. And the average savings, your counter should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it should be 317.33 divided by the counter, which is 5. Okay. The other thing I wanted to mention about this is the formatting. So I would like you to use your manipulators so that the precision is 2 decimal places. I'd also like you to use your set width so things are aligned nicely. Same thing here. Notice the alignment, right? Everything you've learned in previous chapters. Here's another sample to output. I just used a different input here. I did 3 months of data, 1, 2, and 3. And then this is the 2478 for October added to 30, and then you end up here 5478 plus another 4255 brings you here, right? So this is just another example. Okay, as always, be sure that you're commenting your source code, right? Put in your name, brief program description, and make sure that you're commenting throughout the program. Keep your variable definitions together. I don't believe you'll need a constant in this program, but if you did, I want all the declarations to be grouped together. Do not declare your variables on the fly, in a calculation, in an if statement, in a for loop. Just keep them grouped at the top. Be sure to add a check to be sure that your input file has been opened correctly, and if not, display an error message and end your program. The output should be formatted as I showed you, and again, there's a video in this folder that has formatting strings and numeric data, and it explains some of the manipulators and how to use those. If you have any questions, be sure to email me or reach out to the ACE Tutoring Center. Don't just submit the file and then put questions in the submission. I won't get to those until I grade them, so I'd like to see your comments before that if you have any or questions.